Gold has sold off relatively strong in the past couple of days and has lost some of its value. So now the question stands, how will this decline continue? Will gold price plummet into nothing? And as an investor, how do I handle the situation? More on that after the intro. Hello and welcome to another video here at PLUMMET Capital. My name is Henrik and today we're going to be taking a look at gold. And if we jump right into the chart here, we can see that we did have this sell-off here at the top. And it was a sell-off of about 7%. Now, in relation to the bigger uptrend we've had before, it's actually not that big. So if we take a look here, this uptrend over the past couple of weeks has been to the top here over 30%. Now it's only down to 23%. So in general, over the last couple of weeks and months, gold is still up quite a bit. But the worrying thing here is not only this sell-off here, but the speed at which price is coming down and the strength of the sell-off, which has a lot of investors worried that this sell-off here isn't stopping here, but it's actually going to continue on all the way down. And that we will see a major sell-off here in gold starting from here. But if we want to understand why the price is actually falling right here, we should take a look at why price actually started rising in this phase here. And this rise here, especially in the past couple of months, has been largely due to its role as sort of a safe haven that investors go to if they have worries about, for example, inflation, a weakening economy, or maybe even an economic crash. And especially in the US market, a lot of these worries are actually there, with a weakening dollar and general worries about the economy. And especially we had a heating up of the situation here towards the beginning of October. And we also saw that this last phase of this entire uptrend here was actually the steepest here, so the strongest rise. And this was largely due to the trade war heating back up again between the US and China. This obviously skyrocketed panic in a lot of investors who then flocked to gold to invest. But now we're kind of seeing the situation cool down again. Because on one hand, we're seeing first numbers here that might hint at the fact that the economic situation is actually not as bad as people were thinking. So that's the first phase here, sort of easing a bit on the worries. And the second thing, in the trade war, we are seeing that actually not much is happening. Because yes, at the beginning of October, we had a bit of escalation, but since then, nothing has happened. And we already had a similar situation at the beginning of the year where things escalated much quicker, step by step, escalating further and further. And we haven't really seen that. Yes, there is a deadline here towards the end of October where then tariffs will come into place. But beforehand, Trump and Xi Jinping will actually meet at the APEC meeting. And at this point, a lot more people are actually thinking that things will not escalate further and that they will actually try to come to an agreement because both sides here aren't really interested in escalating things again. And this time also, in the meantime here, we aren't really seeing further escalation. So chances are certainly rising that the entire trade war situation will not escalate as it has done before. And if we want to glean into what's ahead, we can actually look in the past, because we've had a very similar situation to this before, which was just at the beginning of the year. As I already stated, we also had the trade war coming up here. And in general, we had economic worries mounting here towards the beginning of the year. And then towards this last phase here, we had the rise here strengthening, so bigger, stronger rises coming in. The price was rising faster towards the end. The whole entire situation here cooling down a bit with the trade war and the general worries about the economy being a bit lowered with some new numbers coming out. So then we transitioned into a big sideways phase here. So actually, we will probably see a very similar thing here happening from this point up here. Now, most certainly, this decline here, this very strong decline, is a sign that we are nearing a top here. And if we want to look at how this will play out, let's actually take our analysis here into play. And here we can see that actually we're expecting that this downtrend here, which was indeed very strong, should be nearing its end actually. And that slowly here, we should be building a bottom for the price, and then we will most likely see a bit of a recovery. Now, how this recovery will actually look is hard to determine at this very moment. And we have a couple of scenarios here. So we could see, for example, price come back up here around the previous highs, so around the level of $4,350, but we could also potentially see a stronger rise again, making a new high actually around $4,600. But it's hard to say where price will actually go here, because we first have to see how this bottom builds here, if the bottom even builds, because potentially we could also be breaking out and pushing lower right away, but most likely we will be building a bottom here. But to see how this uptrend will play out, we need to see how this bottom actually looks and how the first phase of the uptrend here looks. But again, a recovery, no matter how it looks, is very likely here. So we shouldn't just break into nothingness. And we've actually already been saying for quite a while that the high in the precious metals will most likely be towards the end of October. So we should see this here with this recovery finding its top around this time. But then the important question is, what happens after that? And actually, chances are that we will see a bigger sell-off coming in, which could actually take us back down here, but we should be staying above the previous consolidation here that was taking place a couple of months ago. But still, we could be seeing a bigger sell-off here, but we should be rebounding, and in total, we should be entering another sideways phase here, very similar to this one, where price is just jumping up and down, but overall going sideways. So if you're, for example, looking into more active trading, this could be a good opportunity to take these downturns and upturns and trade them. But if you are more interested in long-term holding, then most likely for the next couple of months, you won't see too much action and price will mostly be moving sideways. But then after this bigger sideways phase is over, we should see a continuation of this trend. So somewhere in the next year, in the next couple of months, this sideways phase here should end, and then we should see another big uptrend here to the upside actually, that will most likely be even bigger than the previous ones we've seen before. So bigger than this one, and most likely even bigger than this one. So in the long term, there is actually still a lot of room to the upside for gold. So if you're looking into investing in a very long term, but for the next couple of months, we will most likely be moving more in a sideways pattern here. But if you're interested in more information about gold, you can actually check out the description below. There you'll find a link to our free Discord. There we offer analysis on over 180 assets, ranging from precious metals like gold, which we actually cover daily, but also cryptocurrencies and certain stocks. So if you're interested, check out the description below. And in general, I hope this video was helpful. And until next time, here at PLUMMET Capital.